I always knew something was off between Olivia and her older brother, Ethan. From the moment I started dating her, there was an unspoken tension. She never badmouthed him, but the way she avoided him at family gatherings told me there was more to the story. Ethan was always a golden boy, Olivia said once when I asked. But things change over the years. We just don't see eye to eye. That explanation felt incomplete, but I didn't press. Every family has its quirks, and Olivia's family seemed warm and welcoming otherwise. Her parents, Diane and Henry, treated me like I belonged from the start. It was a stark contrast to my own past relationships, where meeting the parents felt like a high-stakes interrogation. But the cracks showed at her cousin's wedding. Olivia was a bridesmaid, Ethan a groomsman. It was my first extended time around her entire family, and I hoped to blend in, enjoy the night, and maybe get some insight into their dynamic. The ceremony went smoothly, a lavish event at a lakeside venue in Maine. Olivia looked stunning in her dress, the kind of breathtaking that made my heart skip a beat. But the peace shattered at the reception. I had been dancing with Diane when I noticed Olivia and Ethan locked in an intense conversation near the bar. Their gestures were sharp, their faces tight with frustration. Olivia looked over at me, eyes flashing with something between distress and frustration. I excused myself and headed over. "Hey, Liv, let's dance." Ethan turned his gaze on me, something unreadable in his expression. Then, without warning, he chuckled, shook his head, and muttered, "Adam, you have no idea what you've gotten yourself into." Before I could respond, he walked off, leaving Olivia gripping my hand tightly. "What was that about?" I asked. "Nothing," she said, forcing a smile. "Just Ethan being Ethan," but the way she quickly pulled me onto the dance floor, as if trying to erase the moment, told me it was definitely something. Fast forward 4 years. Olivia and I were happily married, living in a charming house just outside Portland. Life felt perfect, or at least close to it. We traveled, we laughed, we talked about kids. Then Thanksgiving happened. Diane and Henry hosted as always, the kind of big family event that required furniture rearrangements to fit everyone in. Olivia and I sat together at the dining table, while Ethan and his girlfriend, Maya, sat across from us. Everything seemed fine, until Olivia made a joke at Ethan's expense. "Maya, it's so nice to meet you. Maybe you'll be the one to finally get Ethan to settle down. Harmless in any other family. But in this family, it was a grenade." Maya laughed, squeezing Ethan's hand. "Actually, we have news." She held up a delicate engagement ring. Before I could congratulate them, I glanced at Olivia. Her expression had turned stone cold. Then she said, "Tell me, Maya, has Ethan told you everything about his past? Because I think you deserve to know." Silence. Then Ethan smirked, his expression dark. "Oh, you want to play that game? Fine. But let's not pretend you're innocent either, Olivia. Does Adam know your secret?" I turned to my wife, expecting her to scoff or roll her eyes. Instead, she looked petrified. The entire table went silent. I glanced at Olivia, waiting for her to roll her eyes or laugh off Ethan's words. Instead, she looked like someone had just pulled the floor out from under her. "Ethan, shut up," she hissed. Maya, still holding Ethan's hand, frowned. "What's going on?" Ethan leaned back, swirling the wine in his glass. "Oh, it's nothing really. Just a little detail Olivia forgot to mention to her loving husband." He locked eyes with me. "Tell me, Adam, how well do you really know your wife?" I turned to Olivia. My gut twisted at the panic in her eyes. "Liv, what is he talking about?" She shook her head. "Not here. Not now." But Ethan had no intention of stopping. He placed his glass down carefully, a predator toying with his prey. "Come on, Olivia. We're all family here. Why don't you tell Adam the real reason you and I never got along?" I could hear my pulse pounding in my ears. "Ethan," I said, my voice low, warning. "Either say what you want to say or shut the hell up." Ethan smirked. Fair enough. He looked directly at me. Your wife wasn't exactly picky about who she was with before you came along. But I guess she never told you about the one guy she was with that really mattered. I clenched my jaw. Ethan, enough. But then he said it. The words that shattered everything. She was with me. The table collectively inhaled. Olivia flinched like she'd been slapped. I blinked, certain I had misheard him. What? Ethan leaned forward, enjoying every second. Before college, before any of this, Olivia and I were together. His voice was calm, almost amused. Your wife and I had a little thing. A mistake, she called it later. But you know what the funny part is? She never told you. The room blurred. I turned to Olivia, searching for a denial, an angry outburst, anything. But she just sat there, silent. Maya was the first to react, yanking her hand away from Ethan's like he burned her. Are you serious? Dead serious, Ethan replied, still watching me. Diane gasped. Ethan, that's enough. Olivia finally found her voice. It was years ago, she snapped, and it meant nothing. Ethan chuckled darkly. Well, maybe it meant nothing to you, but it sure as hell meant something to Adam now, doesn't it? I felt sick. My stomach twisted, my breath shallow. Olivia and her brother? My hands clenched against the table as I forced myself to breathe. Adam, Olivia said quickly, reaching for me. Please, let's talk. Privately, I pushed my chair back, the sound scraping loudly against the floor. Yeah, I muttered. I think that's a good idea. Then I stood and walked out, feeling every set of eyes burning into my back. I stepped outside into the cold night air, barely feeling the bite of the wind. My mind was racing, my stomach churning with a sickness I couldn't shake. Footsteps followed behind me, quick and desperate. Adam, wait. Olivia's voice was strained, pleading. I stopped but didn't turn around. My hands were clenched into fists at my sides. Tell me he's lying. Silence. I turned slowly. Olivia's eyes were glassy with unshed tears, her face pale. Adam, it's not what you think. I let out a bitter laugh. Oh, really? Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like my wife had a thing with her own brother and somehow forgot to mention it. Her face twisted in frustration. It wasn't like that. I folded my arms. Then tell me exactly what it was. She hesitated, her gaze darting away for the briefest second before she took a shaky breath. We were kids, Adam. Teenagers. It was stupid, it was confusing, and it was a mistake. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Jesus Christ, Olivia. She reached for me, but I took a step back. It wasn't serious. She rushed on. We were both going through a rough time. Our parents were constantly fighting, and we clung to each other. It was never real. I stared at her, trying to process what I was hearing. How far did it go? She swallowed hard. We kissed. A few times. That's all. I searched her face, looking for any sign of a lie. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But my gut twisted painfully, warning me there was more. Then why didn't you ever tell me? My voice was lower now, controlled, but sharp. She let out a shaky breath. Because it didn't matter. Because I was ashamed. And because I knew how it would sound, I scoffed. Yeah, no kidding. She winced. Adam, please. I love you. I swear to God, there is nothing between Ethan and me. There never really was. He's just doing this to hurt me. To hurt us. I wanted to believe her. But then I thought about Ethan's smirk, the satisfaction in his voice. He hadn't been revealing a secret. He'd been wielding it like a weapon. Why now? I muttered, more to myself than to her. Why the hell would he wait until now to drop this? She shook her head. Because he's a bastard. Because he's always resented me. He hates that I have a good life, that I found happiness. And he knew this was the one thing that could shake it. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. But the doubt was there now, sinking its claws into me. I need time to think, I finally said. She nodded quickly, tears slipping down her cheeks. Okay, just don't shut me out, Adam. Please. I didn't answer. I just turned and walked away, my mind a storm of questions I wasn't sure I wanted the answers to. I drove aimlessly for hours, my thoughts tangled in a loop I couldn't escape. Every time I tried to convince myself Olivia was telling the truth, Ethan's smirk crept back into my mind. He had been enjoying it too much. This wasn't just about their past. This was about power. He wanted to tear Olivia down. And, apparently, he didn't mind wrecking my life in the process. I finally ended up in a diner off the highway, nursing a cup of coffee that had long gone cold. My phone buzzed on the table. Olivia. Again. I ignored it. I wasn't ready to talk. Not yet. But there was someone I did need to talk to. Taking a deep breath, I scrolled through my contacts and found a name I never thought I'd actually use. Ethan. The phone rang twice before he picked up. Well, that was fast, he said smugly. Didn't take you long to start doubting your perfect little wife, huh? I gritted my teeth. Meet me. Now. He chuckled. Oh, you want the full story? I'll be happy to provide details. Where? I told him the diner's address and hung up before he could say anything else. Ethan arrived 20 minutes later, looking entirely too pleased with himself. He slid into the booth across from me, signaling for a coffee before smirking. So, you here to kill me, or just hear the details Olivia left out? I clenched my fists under the table. I want the truth. He laughed. Oh, you think she gave you the truth? He leaned forward, lowering his voice. Let me guess. She called it a mistake? A stupid phase? I didn't respond. Ethan's smirk widened. She's good. I'll give her that. He stirred his coffee lazily, as if we were just having a casual chat. But you want the real truth, Adam? She loved me. I went rigid. Bullshit. His eyes gleamed. No? Then why did she beg me not to tell you? My stomach churned. You're lying. Am I? He tilted his head. Look, I don't care what you do with this information. Stay with her, leave her. It makes no difference to me. But I figured you want to know who you married. I hated him, despised him. But the worst part? I couldn't tell if he was lying. Ethan leaned back. But hey, if you don't believe me, why don't you ask Olivia the one question she's hoping you never will? I swallowed hard. What question? He grinned. Ask her if she ever tried to end up with me. If she ever, even for a second, thought we were more than a mistake. I felt sick. Ethan stood, tossing a few bills on the table. Anyway, happy marriage, Adam. He clapped me on the shoulder before walking out, leaving me with a poisonous seed of doubt. I sat in my car for what felt like hours, staring at my phone. Olivia had called 6 more times. Each missed call was a silent plea, a reminder that she was waiting, probably pacing, probably rehearsing what to say. I should have driven home right then, should have sat down with her like a husband who trusted his wife. Instead, I just kept hearing Ethan's voice. Ask her if she ever wanted to be with me. The question felt radioactive, like saying it out loud would make it real. But I needed to hear it from her. By the time I pulled into our driveway, it was nearly midnight. The house was dark except for the dim glow from the living room. Olivia was sitting on the couch, her legs tucked under her, staring at the door like she'd been waiting the whole time. The moment I stepped inside, she jumped up. Adam. I held up a hand. I need to ask you something. She hesitated, then nodded. Okay. I swallowed, my throat dry. Just say it. Did you ever want to be with him? My voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper. Olivia sucked in a breath like I had punched her. What? You and Ethan. I don't care how long ago it was, or how stupid you say it was. I need to know. Her lip trembled. Adam, no. It was never like that. I stared at her. Then why did you hide it? Why did you never tell me? And why? My voice cracked, anger creeping in. Why does Ethan think it was something more? She took a step toward me, hands shaking. Because he's cruel, Adam. He's always been cruel. He knew this would hurt me, hurt us. He's trying to destroy what we have. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But Ethan's words had poisoned me. Swear to me, I said, my voice steel. Swear on everything that you never, not even for a second, thought you and Ethan could have been together. Her breath hitched. And that was it. That 1 second hesitation was all I needed. I stepped back, nausea rolling through me. Jesus Christ. Adam, wait. You hesitated. Her eyes were wild now, desperate. Because it's complicated. I was young. I was confused, but I never loved him, Adam. Never. I ran a hand through my hair, heart pounding. So you thought about it. Tears slipped down her face. Yes, but I chose you. I let out a bitter laugh. I didn't know I was a choice. She reached for me again, but I stepped back. Adam, please don't do this. Don't let him win. But it wasn't about Ethan anymore. It was about us. And I didn't know if I could ever look at her the same way again. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to Olivia's quiet, uneven breathing beside me. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that hesitation, that single moment where she couldn't immediately tell me no. By morning, I knew what I had to do. Olivia stirred when I got out of bed. Adam, her voice was groggy, heavy with exhaustion. Where are you going? I grabbed my bag from the closet. I need some space. Panic flashed across her face. What? Adam, no. Please. Let's talk. I zipped up my duffel. We did talk. She swung her legs over the bed, reaching for me. You can't just leave. We can fix this. I exhaled sharply. How? You hesitated, Liv. You didn't even deny it. Her face crumpled. Because I was ashamed. Because I knew no matter what I said, you'd still see me differently. I shook my head. You should have told me years ago. I didn't want to lose you. Her voice cracked. I love you, Adam. Please don't throw this away. I wanted to believe her. But I also knew that, no matter what, something between us had broken. I slung the bag over my shoulder. I'm staying at my brother's for a while. She grabbed my wrist, desperation in her grip. Don't do this. If you leave now, I don't know if we can come back from it. I met her eyes, feeling the weight of everything we had built. Everything that was now shattered. I don't know if we should. Her hand slipped away. Tears streamed down her face, but she didn't try to stop me again. I walked out, closing the door behind me. I stared at my phone, Olivia's name flashing on the screen. The missed calls, the unread messages. I hadn't answered her since I left. I didn't know what to say. A knock at the door made me jolt. My brother, Nathan, poked his head in. You good? I exhaled. Yeah. He sat beside me, rubbing the back of his neck. Have you decided? I stared at my phone again. Not yet. Nathan sighed. Look, man, people have pasts. We all make mistakes. The question is, do you still want this marriage? That was the problem. I didn't know. I used to be certain Olivia was my forever. But now I wasn't sure if we could ever go back. Another text popped up. Olivia, I'm not giving up on us. Please just talk to me. I took a deep breath. Maybe I owed her that much. But whether talking would save us or finally end things, I still wasn't sure. And that scared me more than anything.